Hariyam Tatsat. Welcome to everyone to our exploration of the Yoga Sutras a little bit deeper, improving our philosophy, another day to evolve our consciousness, another day to grow. Each and every one of us philosophize about life. I think every adult at one point in their time questions, who am I? Why am I here? And how did we land it on planet Earth? What's the stars? What's the moon? Everyone philosophizes. So it's nice to contemplate these beautiful writings, the great rishis or realized beings which they left for us, so they can help us to evolve on the path. The human life can get we have so much evolution we can go through, and as we grow, we share it with others. So it's a beautiful part of the sutra Patanjali has left for us. So we're still in book one. And it's nice to go through it slowly like this, because you get to reflect and meditate on it. Like I said, sometimes I get to do Yoga Sutras in a teacher training in 3 hours, have to cover the whole book. It's like rushing through it, right? So now it's contemplate, explore it, and digest it. And then it becomes part of us more and more. So today we're in, we finished the obstacles, all the obstacles. Those are in mantra 31, mantra 31 of book one. So he ends the obstacles that we should expect. And again, he's writing some obstacles. He's not writing all the obstacles, but he went through about 13 obstacles we're going to experience. And he gave us a clue. He says, this one mantra, the chanting of the can help us to overcome those obstacles. Now, in this next part of the book, he changes his tone. Now he's finished with listing the obstacles. He's going to give us more techniques. So far, he has only given us one technique, which is chanting of Now he's going to give us like 8 more techniques to overcome these obstacles. So in mantra 32, he says, the practice of concentration on a single subject or the use of one technique is the best way to prevent the obstacles and their accompaniments. So this is a beautiful point here, and I think a lot of people miss this point when they start to meditate. Patanjali explains it here. Shiva explains it in Shiva Samhita. The great yogi Garanda explains it in Garanda Samhita, that there are many techniques to allow you to concentrate the mind. Yes? So why did they leave so many techniques to concentrate the mind? because they understood meditation is something that is evolving with time. So if you're going through a certain issue at this phase in your life, there will be a certain technique for that. Now, when you overcome it, you don't get stuck on the same technique when you're evolving. The riches they understood. As you evolve, another technique. Different issues, another technique. Different issues, another technique. Different issues, another technique. And then sometimes I meet people in the meditation class, they come and they say, yeah, I've been meditating for 35 years. And I'm like, so what techniques did you go through? That's my first question, because that's how I'm trained. That's how the Vedas present it. And they said, no, I just have one technique. And I'm like, okay, one technique for 35 years. And just the way they say it, you can just see, you can read a lot of imbalance already in the mind as well. So I'm like, that technique is addressing one thing, but there are so many aspects of you that you need to address. And sometimes people, because everything these days in Kali Yuga, or the time we're living in, everyone wants to copyright, right? And name brand it, and this is the only technique. If you look at the Vedas, the rishis, they left so many techniques. And so like I was explaining, there's nothing wrong with you jumping into the deep end of spiritual techniques. But if you're trying to jump into spiritual techniques and you still have a lot of tension in the body, it creates an imbalance. So the yogis, they always start off with relaxation techniques. Learn to relax your body, learn to relax your mind. Then, okay, let's address these emotions, this part, that part. So you have different techniques for addressing your evolution. So Patanjali says the same thing here. He says, when you're going through this issue, just focus on one technique for that issue. Now, when you overcome that issue, sure enough, the universe is going to send you another obstacle. How many of us have seen that in our life, right? We overcome something and it's just a preparation for something more. And so the yogis understood, God sends us these obstacles. But simultaneously, as God sends us these obstacles in life, simultaneously, he sends us the strength or the technique to address that issue. But sometimes when we're not introspective, we see the issue, we see the obstacle, and we don't see the willpower, the simultaneously the technique to overcome it. So as we evolve, we start to become very introspective. Right? Oh, this issue is here. Let's see, there must be something they can overcome it. And that's why the yogis there left so many techniques for us to address different issues. So that's mantra 32. Mantra 33 is one of my famous mantra of the whole sutras, because it's a technique Patanjali is giving us for anyone who's living in a city. So if you're living in a city or a town or amongst other humans, this is the technique. One of the techniques he says you should use. When you're living in the Himalayas, there's other different techniques. But I'm pretty sure everyone who has internet or has access to Zoom right now, you are living in a city or amongst other humans, right? 95% of us. Otherwise, if you're living in a cave or something, there's no internet. You can't log in. So we are living in a city. So once you're living in cities, he gives this beautiful mantra. And I like, actually, everyone get a pen and paper. Let's write this mantra out, because writing, my teacher used to say, writing is realizing. So get a pen and paper and let's write this mantra out, this technique, which he says will help us if we live in cities. So the Sanskrit mantra is a beautiful one as well. Maitra Karuna Madipokshanam Sukha dukkha, happiness and distress. Sukha dukkha, punya punya vishayanam, bhavasnantashchita prasadimanam. So it's a beautiful mantra. The translation, let's write the translation. By cultivating attitudes of, he says, by cultivating attitudes of, and then you put a colon, 2 dots, by cultivating the attitudes of. The first thing he says is Maitri. Maitri, yes, is a friendliness. Friendliness toward those who are happy. Friendliness towards those who are happy. Maitri, Karuna. Karuna, you might meet an Indian girl or an Indian gentleman and they say, my name is Karuna. Maybe some of you have friends who are Karuna, right? Karuna means compassionate. So by cultivating attitudes of friendliness to those who are happy, your next line, the next line is compassion to those who are unhappy. Compassion to those who are unhappy. The next line, delight in the virtuous. Delight in the virtuous. Good. And then the last technique he says is dukkha punyam. He says, and disregard, next line, disregard to those with wicked-mindedness. Disregard for those who are wicked-minded. Or I've heard my teacher give another translation where he says, love the wicked-mindedness, love the wicked-minded people from a distance. Love the wicked-minded from a distance. So it's a powerful mantra. And it's, if you live in the cities, it means, Patanjali is explaining, this is 2,500 years ago this book is written. Way back then, he's telling us, you're going to meet people who are happy. You're going to meet people who are unhappy. You're going to meet people who are virtuous, good, and you're going to meet people who are wicked-minded. So if we look, and that's the beautiful thing about the yogic philosophy, when these rishis, they make those statements, you can see it travels across time and space. Because we are 2,500 years ago and we walk the street in, let's say in New York, I'm walking the streets in New York. It's easy to find in one block, I will find someone who's very happy. It's easy to find someone who is unhappy. It's easy to find someone who is virtuous, very good-mannered, peaceful, kind, generous. And it's simultaneously easy to find someone who might want to steal your phone or steal your wallet or something. In one block, right? That's New York City, right? So the philosophy is living. When you live in a city like New York, you're living this philosophy. You can evolve. Like I tell students, when I'm in the Himalayas, I grow spiritually like this, gradually. When I'm in New York City, I grow like this because you're confronted with the senses and the pull and you evolve quicker. So if you can evolve in a busy city like New York, then you can evolve anywhere. Like right now, my karma have me, I'm living in Hawaii. So right now, so I know, I'm evolving again at a slower pace because I'm not confronted with the repetition of the pulling of the senses. So, and it doesn't matter, even in Hawaii, I might not find them in one block, but if I go in one neighborhood, for sure, I'm gonna find someone who is happy, someone who's unhappy, someone who's virtuous, and someone who is evil-minded. So we will find different types of people living around you. And sometimes we don't even have to step outside the house. Sometimes it's in the family, right? Brother is happy, sister is unhappy, mom and dad are virtuous, and you have a cousin, you know, right there in the house. You don't have to leave the house. You can find those 4 types of people. So if you find someone who's very happy, Patanjali is giving us a technique. If you find someone who's happy, sometimes, like I would see as I grew up, sometimes I notice I saw 2 types of personalities. That's 2 types of reaction to someone who's happy. Someone who could be really happy, and then you'll see someone who's very evolved, makes friends with them. Then simultaneously, I will see that person who is happy. Some other people will get envious of that person's happiness. Why are you happy? So I would see 2 types of reaction. And I'm pretty sure you've seen it as well. That when someone is happy, some people want to bring them down, and some people want to keep uplifting or befriend that person. So the evolutionary process is to make friends with that person. Don't try and bring the person down. That person is happy because of some reaction, of karmic reaction, where good is coming back in their pathway. And so we are happy. We make friends with people who are happy. And I came across this mantra when I was like 18 years old. And I remember just feeling like, wow, this is so beautiful. If everyone was to live like this, we would have a beautiful planet. And I remember I walked around for like a week thinking everyone should just be happy. Here I was trying to live in a utopia. Charu, hello, humans are not like that. You know, and I was like, I learned quickly, not everyone is ready to be happy with, make friends with someone who are happy. And I start to see the other side of it. Then you meet someone who's unhappy. How do you relate to someone who's unhappy? Patanjali says, become compassionate, karuna. Compassionate to someone who's unhappy. And again, it's, you know, as you grow up in different cities, there's a lot of laws. And you have to be very, like I see sometimes people they lock down their heart space because of the laws of the society, right? I would see sometimes in cities, someone could be hurting another human on one side of the street. Most humans will, to try and avoid it, walk on the other side of the street. We've lost that human condition of compassion. And I understand it's the law of the society, but at least we might not be able to intervene, but at least call 911, do something so that, you know, at least you're connecting to that compassionate nature inside. Sometimes we see domestic violence, right? And it's hard. I remember once I was living in Australia and I just moved, and it was like the second day and I was trying to get my apartment, blah, blah, blah. And I found an apartment and I'm just moving in the first day. And the first day I'm moving in, I passed a house and this gentleman and gentle lady were having a domestic violence, vulgar language, hidden. And I was new in the country, so I don't understand the country's law. And then my intelligence was like, I have to do something. And sometimes when you try and intervene in domestic violence, the two person can turn on you. So my mind was like, what do I do here? So I remember I just got to the country. I didn't know the 911 for Australia. So I remember just going home and I just said a prayer. At least I went up and I said a prayer for the couple that the best scenario comes out for them. So we don't want to close this part up. And then I remember like 3 or 4 days later when because it was like 2 houses down from where I was living, the lady was moving out and I just realized that was the best thing, you know, for both parties. So whenever we find someone who's suffering, don't just pass it, don't just ignore it. And sometimes in cities you see so regularly too. If you come across it, we get immune to it or we get numb to it. No, no, at least, be compassionate. So there's different levels of compassion. So it's a beautiful way. If you're living in cities, you meet suffering to the best of your ability within your karma. You can't save the world. We're not God, but we can do something in our own capacity. Don't just ignore it. The next one he says is, delight in those who are virtuous. Wow, this was one of my favorites. When I read this, I was like, whoa. And at 18, I remember when I read, the person who came to my mind like instantly was my chemistry teacher. Because I remember when going to school, I grew up in like one of the tough neighborhoods in the city, like where my country is beautiful, north, but then there's like 1 square mile in the city where all the kids just got caught up with gangs, and that's where I grew up. And I remember going to school, teachers can see the type of, and also I didn't have wealth. I came from, from real poverty. So teachers would judge you on the type of clothes you wear and stuff like that. And I remember growing up, all my uniforms were like hand-me-downs from my cousin who was bigger than me, who from one school year. So I would get school uniforms, which were like, the clothes was faded already, pants. And then I'd see a lot of teachers would judge me on my externals. And it wasn't until I went to one school and this one chemistry teacher, she was the first person in my life who saw me she didn't judge me for my externals. And she was just so encouraging. I was like, wow, this is different. And as a child, we get influenced the way our philosophy develops, how those who are teachers influence us. So this person just evolved my psychic conditioning. So whenever I thought someone who's virtuous, she comes to mind. And even up to today, when I do meditation, she always comes. Someone who's like good in their heart, good in their mind. It's amazing. So, and also as we start to do this, what happens? These qualities starts to come in us. We start to become virtuous our own self. We start to evolve. The next mantra, the next part of the mantra is, he says to disregard those who are evil-minded. So, and like I said, my teacher has another translation where it says, those who are wicked-minded, Charu. I remember he used to say, the Atma, the spiritual being, is pure love, but we get conditioning over so many births and deaths, psychic conditioning. And someone can be brought up in a society where they can flip by the wrong association. So by the association of tamas, the mode of ignorance, and rajas, the mode of passion, people get conditioned to do some really outrageous things, violent stuff. And my teachers say, love them from a distance. In other words, don't just keep them, but from a distance, redirect your love to them, because your love from your mind and heart has that effect to transform their psychic conditioning as well. And I remember we used to go teach in the prisons in New Delhi. And when I would go there, I would meet a lot of spiritual brothers. They were incarcerated, and we would teach them yoga nidra, meditation. And after, I would just meet some sweet souls, beautiful souls. It's just that in their wrong association, they did something which was very not so pleasant. And a lot of them are remorseful, right? So by the association, if you can give them positive association, the same person can mutate. So we don't want to just push them away, but keep them at bay, because if you don't keep them at bay, they will steal from you, exploit you. That's their psychic conditioning. But simultaneously, as you keep them at bay, be a positive example for them, redirect love to them still. And then one day they can change their mental, their psychic condition and evolve back to a virtuous being. Because at the end of the day, everyone is a beautiful soul. And so this is the mantra Patanjali is saying we should, if you're living in city, and you want a peace of mind, you have to interrelate with other psychic conditionings. And as you evolve, these are the way we should relate. So that's a powerful mantra. And then he says, and the mind stuff retains its undisturbed calmness. So by doing this, our mind can remain peaceful. We can stay connected to our higher self. Beautiful mantra. So let's, you can put that phrase, you can stick it on your fridge, on your stove, somewhere where it's always visible. From time to time throughout the day, you connect to it. Because as you move around society or you interrelate with society over the internet, you will come across these 4 types of conditionings constantly. Happy people, disturbed people, amazingly virtuously good people, and also evil-minded people. And a yogi has to learn then how to keep his mind peaceful, interrelating with them appropriately. And we're going to make mistakes. No one is perfect. So if you ever find yourself making a mistake with dealing with one of these situations, just understand life is a cycle. Sunrise, sunset, moonrise, moonset. God is going to send a similar situation for you tomorrow or next week or next month, and then react to it in a more positive way. Because I'm pretty sure those 4 types of people we've met, and we've all acted positively before, and we've all acted negatively before. Every one of us. No one's perfect. So the next time it comes around, when you start to meditate on it, then you start to, oh wow, you start to deal with it, refine it, refine it, refine it. And you keep your mental equilibrium, the balance in the mind, balance in the heart space. So let's stretch the legs out. Let's meditate on this mantra. Wiggle the ankles, wiggle the knees. And when you cross the legs back, cross them to where you're very comfortable. And bring the palms onto the knees, touch the tips of the thumbs, tip of the index fingers. Close the eyes softly. Quieten the body before we can move into quieting the mind. Kaya Styron, stillness of the body. Take your awareness to the right foot, toes to the heel, the right foot is still. To the left foot is solid. To the entire right leg from the toes, passing the calf, the knee, the thigh to the right hip girdle. The entire right leg is immovable. To the entire left leg, toes to the hip, the entire left leg is solid. To the pelvic floor, the glutes, the lower back, the front of the pelvis. The entire pelvic floor is grounded. Bring your awareness to the back, the glutes, to the shoulders. The entire back is still. Take your awareness to the right hand, fingertips to the wrist. Right hand is rigid. The left hand is steady. To the entire right arm, fingertips passing the wrists, the forearm, the elbow, the upper arm to the right shoulder blade. The entire right arm is immovable. to the entire left arm, fingertips to the shoulder. The entire left arm is solid. Take your awareness to the neck. The neck is motionless. To the head is completely still. Take your awareness to the whole body and imagine the whole body is like a statue, immovable, stable. As the physical body moves into stillness more and more as time progresses, let's quiet the mind, liberate the mind into the present moment. Bring the mind on the breath at the entrance of the nostrils. Try not to control the breath, just witness it moving in and out. See if you can identify the slight temperature change of the breath. The incoming breath is slightly cooler. The outgoing breath with the body's heat is slightly warmer. Bring the focus of the mind to the breath in the rib cage. Try not to alter the movement of the rib cage, just witness it. As we inhale, the rib cage naturally makes a small movement up and out. As we exhale, the rib cage naturally makes a small movement in and down. Stay in the present moment with the breath in the rib cage now. Appreciating the breath, our backdrop to life. This time in the with the movement of the abdomen. Try not to control the movement of the abdomen, just witness it. As we inhale and exhale, the abdomen naturally makes a small movement out and in. Keep the mind in the present moment on the breath in the abdomen now. Bring the focus back to the breath at the entrance of the nostrils. And as the breath passes the epiglottis of the throat, I want you to make a soothing sound with the breath. Yogis call it Ujjayi Pranayam. And I want you to perform Ketri Mudra, or the tongue lock. Curl the tip of your tongue as press it against the back of the upper teeth, maybe halfway up on the palate, or maybe even further back. And as you press the upper palate with the tongue, let the air pass in the throat, soothing as possible. I'll exaggerate it. Breathe slowly as possible and allow the mind to dwell into the soothing sound. Whenever the tongue gets tired, feel free to return the tongue to the bottom of the mouth for a few seconds and curl it back up. Ujjayi Pranayam with Ketri Mudra. After the next exhalation, return the tongue to the bottom of the mouth and move into the opposite of Ujjayi Pranayam, Mona Pranayam, silent breathing. Breathe as slowly as possible and as silently as possible, and allow the mind to dwell into the silence of the breath. As we go on this journey to make the mind peaceful, I want you to explore the different energy shifts that take place when we do certain actions. I want you to move back into your memory in a time when you came across someone who was very happy and you weren't happy for that person. We've all been there before. Bring that situation up and watch how the energy was a tense energy that created it. We weren't happy for another living entity who became happy. And now compare it to the energetics in our mind, body, organism. When you came across someone who was happy and you were happy for them and you wanted to befriend them. Remember a time when you became friendly to someone who was happy, and you'll feel the energy shift around your heart space, your mind space. You will be able to identify one creates tension, depletes the prana in our cells and our organs. One increase the prana, bring life to the organs. I want you to move back in time to a time when you came across a living entity who was suffering and you weren't compassionate to them. You ignored it. We've all been there before. Bring one of those scenarios up now and just recognize the type of tension in the energetics of the mind and the heart space that it created. Because deep down, the Atma knows the good, knows to do the right thing, but we acted so uncompassionate. And now switch it. Remember a time when you saw someone in suffering and you were able to be compassionate to them. It feels uplifting because it is our natural spiritual nature. Every one of us have done acts of compassion. Move back to one of those moments now and feel how the heart space feels, the mind feels, the prana changes. We've all come across a virtuous person and we've all done the both as well. We've all come across someone who's very good nature, well mannered, and we chose to just be unhappy about that person's goodness. And we even tried to push that person down. Feel the prana that we created in ourselves. Compared to when each and every one of us came across a virtuous, good mannered person, and we were delightful. We were just revering that person's goodness. We've all done that before and feel how the heart space and mind space change. Once we live in a city, we'll also come across people who are mentally, psychically conditioned by the mode of rajas, passion, and the mode of tamas, ignorance, and they're very evil-minded in the mind. And recognize the time when we came across such a being and we ignored it. And that person exploited us in one way and feel the tension it created. And then remember a time when you recognize someone with that psychic evil conditioning and you kept them at bay, able to love them from a distance, keep them at bay. And at the same time, not just balance out, keep them at distance, but some thoughts of love to them so that they could transform themselves as well. And feel how that felt. innately, each and every one of us is a divine spiritual being, the Atma, and we naturally have these beautiful qualities in us. These other qualities tendency sometimes covers us. I want you to scan your life in the last week, and we're not maybe moving around, but we still meet humans over the internet, over the phones, over the TV. Contemplate someone who is very happy you met in the last week or came across their being in the last week that was happy, and contemplate how you reacted to them. And if you reacted to be friendly with them, that's positive. And if you didn't, then recognize next week, next month, next year, a similar scenario will come up. We'll meet another happy person, and you want that higher vibration to be a part of you. So you'll always get an opportunity to evolve. Contemplate someone who is suffering in the last week. Our planet is going through so much tribulation, and contemplate how you reacted in the last week. And remember, a similar type of living entity will be there tomorrow, next week, next month for you to evolve. In the last week, contemplate a virtuous person you met or came across and see how you relate to that person. And recognize a similar scenario will be there next week, next month. You want to keep evolving. This time, contemplate someone who's evil-minded, who you might have come across in the last week, trying to exploit you, exploit others, and see how you reacted to that personality. This time, contemplate your family members. In our own family, I'm pretty sure we can find someone who is very happy. How to relate to that family member in an involved way. In our family, we'll also find someone who's going through some kind of distress right now. Could be close family member, a distant family member, aunt, uncle, niece. Contemplate how to react to them in a positive way. In each of our family, I'm pretty sure you can find someone who's virtuous, good-mannered person, and contemplate how to relate to them. And also in our family, we'll find someone who might be conditioned with evil in the mind, wicked-minded. Contemplate how to relate to them, loving them from a healthy distance. Recognize these vibrations, these energetics that you recognize from these type of individuals we're going to meet in the cities, and recognize how we reacted negatively and positively. And as you evolve, to keep the mind purified, peaceful, you want to react more on the positive side. and recognize, even if we make mistake today, last week, next week, next month, we'll have another opportunity to keep evolving to the pure spiritual self with right actions in each situation. That's how we keep the mind positive while we live in cities. Bring the focus back to the breath at the entrance of the nostrils. Recognizing this breath connects us to our emotions, connects us to our thought patterns. When the thoughts are positive, compassionate, delightful, loving from a healthy distance, the breath remains calm and peaceful. When it's the opposite, the breath gets shallow, quick, values change. Let the breath connect you to those inner realizations of the mind. Grateful for the breath. Let's chant the Om mantra together once. Om. Take a deep inhalation. Exhale slowly. Move the fingers slowly. Bring the palms to the heart. Lower the head towards your higher self, who has that potential to make friends with those who are happy, compassionate to those who are distressed, delight in the virtuous, and love from a distance those who are evil-minded. Namaste. Hari Om Tat Sat. Lift the head, open the eyes. Thank you all so much for joining our session today. We keep evolving together. These sutras are powerful because we're living in cities, so they help us. Look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow for some Nidra. Thank you so much, Margaret.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yogi Charu. Awesome.
Thank you, Yogi Charo.
Thank you, Susan. Mahalo, Shifumi.
Thanks, Yogi Charu.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bashak.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yomiko.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jean.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you.
Thank you, Subin. Thank you, Astrid.
Thank you, Gicharu.
Mahalo, Greg. Thank you, Jody.
Thank you, Yogi Charu.
Thank you, Orit.
Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. Thank you, Nan.
Thank you, Yogi Charu.
Thank you, Vivian.
Thank you, Yogi Charu.
Thank you, Jarka.
Thank you, Yogi Charu.
Thank you, Jin.
Thank you, Yogi Charo.
Thank you, Mahalo, Kai. Thank you, Parasto.
Thank you, Yogi Charu.
Thank you, Mindy.
Thank you so much.
Hari Om Tat Sat.
Hari
Thank you,
Om.
Vanessa.
Thanks, Yogi Charu.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you.
See you all tomorrow. Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you.